going to make you work for your dollar. Say something with that great radio voice.
When you're listening to nothing but the best of oldies, you're listening to Magic 98.9. Thank you so much.
It's been 15 months since we were first amazed at Ted Williams' golden voice. Now he's told a story in a new book that lays out the gritty details of 20 years of alcohol and crack addiction that caused him to hit rock bottom several times.
Thank you so much.
Last week I caught up with Ted in his Dublin apartment. What message do you want to get across with this book?
If you have God in your life, whether it's early or you find him at some point, and then you feel that you've abandoned him or any of your promises, and all, my book wants to tell you that don't lose hope or don't stop praying. That's my new situation. I used to tell everybody, acknowledge the Lord in all your ways, quoting from the book of Proverbs. And now it's no more acknowledgement. It's now, there's power in prayer. And I realized that all through my addiction, I never stopped praying, and asking for things, like I was going to get them. I'm robbing local stores, and my woman's out there not living the best life for a woman, and I'm still prayed.
What were some of those turning points? You write about them in your book. There was one point where you quit saying, God damn. And was that like the first step? And then what were some of the later steps?
Actually, that was the first step. I could not take it, and that's been over about 15 years that I just implemented that in my soul searching, that blasphemy, I didn't want to do that, although I was ignoring every other commandment. That was just something, because somebody actually, one of my sponsors, I was trying to get sober too during this period, and I'd fall off. I was the relapse king, so to speak. But my sponsor once told me, he said, man, you can think of a lot of other things that people aren't doing pleasing to God other than just saying the GD word, And, but I had that one focus, and I didn't associate with people who did it, ongoing or made a practice of it. I would just say, oh, excuse him, Lord. During my addiction, I kept feeling like I wasn't worthy no more of getting on my knees and praying. I was smoking, and I was stealing, and I was getting arrested, and I just abandoned my children mentally. I just turned them over to God, gave God all my responsibilities, not consciously knowing that that's what I was doing, but I was just so in the thick of my addiction that I felt I would be okay if I just acknowledged him along the way. And I got more and more into it. I would actually be sitting in crack houses smoking and would talk about God, and some people think that's blasphemy in itself, to sit in a crack house and give God praise, but I still did it. And everybody that knows Ted Williams even back then can honestly say that in any circle that I've ever made a situation to be around, God was mentioned one time or another. So the book speaks about acknowledgement to me. I acknowledged the wrongs that I did, and that's pleasing to God, And then once you really, the acknowledgement part, once you acknowledge what you've done and feel that there is a changing spirit within you and that God's going to help you with it, God's happy with that too.
Hey, there's a moment in the video where you say that you've been clean for 2 years.
That's what makes me cringe.
And then alcohol and drugs and a few other things became a part of my life. And I got 2 years clean, and I'm trying hard to get it back, and hopefully.
What happened? What was the truth?
The truth was that I wasn't going to put it on camera at that point in anything I did to talk about, I'm just a total lost soul. Because you had already caught me in probably what I thought was the lowest that anybody, homeless person, can be, standing on a corner with a sign. But I stood on that corner to hold a conversation with God every day for an hour for over about a year.
So you didn't tell me the truth?
No, I didn't tell you the truth, and this is another apology. Really, I look at that and I say, well, everybody could quite see that I wasn't, and Doral didn't question the fact at that point. But I, if hindsight, I would say that I was really hoping that you'd say, oh, 2 years clean, that you weren't, that's another thing my book addresses, but I will say that you were not one of those people. I know if I give him more than $1, he's going to use it for drugs or alcohol. And I can tell he's not really clean and sober.
I could tell you weren't clean. You looked down right after you said it.
That's why you just gave me $1. No.